Oh, yeah. What's up? How we doing? How's it going? Trevor May Baseball. How's everyone doing out there? Good? Oh, my God. I wish that stuff would just turn itself off. Welcome to Trevor May Baseball, guys, in hour 2 of Mayday. If you want to check out the first hour, Foul Territory. First hour is recorded over there, Foul Territory on YouTube. We got into the history of the All-Star Game. Did a recap of the news of all the. We're going to continue talking about the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game as well, and obviously this is a more open format, so feel free to have the conversation in the chats, and I will see it, and we will continue to go from there. But you are coming in right when I am doing the second half of Mace-Planning, which we are talking about my 10 bold predictions I made at the beginning of the year. So let's get into those 10 bold predictions and knock them out. So how this is going to work, we're going to look at the prediction, and I'm going to tell you, as of right now, are we on track to hit that prediction to be right, or are we nowhere close? A couple rules real quick. One big rule. If it's like someone wins something or is the best at something, if they're in the top 10, if they're outside of the top 10 right now, we're going to consider it a no and out of reach. But if they're within the top 10, then it's still reachable. Then they're still pretty much on track, because you can't expect people to just like lead in the category all year, right? If they're close, then I'm going to give myself a little bit of love for that. So, and then one of them was like the World Series, the MVP of the World Series, and that there's no way to guess that. It'll be the same thing as of right now. So I got that one out. So this is 9 bold predictions. We'll just go through them real quick and move on from there. All right, first bold prediction. I said no AL team will win 92 plus games. Well, that's a big wrong. I was very wrong there. It turns out there are currently 3 teams on track for 92 plus. The Tigers, Astros, and Blue Jays are all on track to win more than 92 games. So I would say 3 teams. If there was just one, maybe I'm close and they could fall out of that. But there's a really good chance that someone wins over 92. So Tigers have gone cold, though. No, Tigers lost the last 3 games before the All-Star break. They didn't go cold. They lost 3 games. So entirely possible. Do you think that they're suddenly going to be like, we're going to go 500 for the rest of the year, because that's what they would need to do to win 92 exactly? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. 0 for 1. Surprise. Who would have thunk it? Number 2, overperformer of the year. A guy who I think that was going to perform higher than he was paid in free agency. So Tommy Pham was going to be huge for the Pirates. I had high hopes for the Pirates, not being the Pirates anymore. Unfortunately, they're still the Pirates. So I would say that's probably a miss too. Right now, Tommy Pham is hitting .250 with a .667 OPS. He got 4 home runs and a .8 B WAR. It's fine. He's above average, or he's about an average player, give or take. I believe in F WAR, he's literally exactly average. So he's not hurting the team, but he hasn't really been the huge impact that I thought he'd be. So now we're 0 for 2. All right. Number 3, an underperformer that I guessed. I thought a guy who would probably come out slower out of the blocks for his contract. Now, let me be very clear, and I made this point then. I think Willy Adames was a good sign. I think he's a great defensive shortstop, and I believe that he is he's going to be part of that team for a long time. But do I think he's like a star? Probably not. And I also assume, because the place is hard to hit in and it's a little bit of a different parts to play, he was going to get out slow, and that has mostly been true. Willy Adames has underperformed a little bit from the amount of money he's being paid. He's hitting .221. He's got a .682 OPS right now, and right now a .0.9 B WAR and a 1.7 F WAR because of defense. Defense is heavily weighted into F WAR, and he's a good defensive player. So he's been solid, been okay. Average a little low and not super productive, and he's one of the higher paid guys on the team. So slightly underperforming. Maybe not the most egregious underperformer in the league, but I'd say underperforming enough for me to be right. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? Yeah, okay. Moving on. Stolen base leader. Who did I think was going to lead the league in stolen bases? I chose Elly De La Cruz. And we're going to go with a positive because he's currently tied in 3rd, and he's only 4 back. So he's very close. He's top 3, and he could do that in 2 games, right? And if he wants it, he sees it right there, he's going to steal a lot more. So I think it's still pretty likely that Elly De La Cruz leads the league in stolen bases, or it's possible. So I'm going to give myself a check mark on that. But is he going to lead in caught stealing? So my whole point was I thought he would run the most. And has he been caught a lot? No, he's actually 12th in the league in caught stealing. So he's got a pretty good track record right now. He's not making as many mistakes as he did last year. I believe he led the league in both last year, so I just thought he was going to do it again. But he's been better decision making and still up there in stolen bases. So hats off to Elly De La Cruz. The guy's getting even better. What team do I think would have the longest win streak? I guess the Cleveland Guardians at 10 games, because suddenly they just seem to do that stuff. But it turns out they actually have the highest losing streak of 10 of anybody. So, well, no, they don't have the highest losing streak. That's not the highest. They actually have a 10-game losing streak. The Rockies lost the most in a row. I think they lost 13. But the Guardians did the opposite of that. It was actually the Twins and the Red Sox have both done 10 or more this year. The Red Sox are currently still on their 10. So let's see what they can do right out of the break. But two other teams. And someone, when I said this, back when I said it, someone was like, what about the Twins? The Twins always rattle them off, and the Twins rattled it off this year. So consider me chastised. All right, number 7, my non-closer of the year, Jeremiah Estrada from the San Diego Padres. I thought he was going to have an incredible, basically I'm looking for guys who could be a closer, aren't a closer. Right now, though, he's a 2.93 ERA, 1.14 whip, and 60 Ks in 43 innings. I believe he has got like 11 holds or something. So he's been very good. He's a very good reliever. He's a rock-solid reliever, but that is by no means the best reliever. I would say it's probably more likely. There's actually a guy on his team that would deserve it more. That's Adrian Morejon. He actually, Morejon has a 1.85, a .82 whip, and 42 Ks in 43 innings. So I would say he's more likely. He would have a better shot. Randy Rodriguez is another guy. There's like probably 10 guys in front of him that are not closers, but he is very good. He's very good, and things have been solidifying for him. All right, last two. Who's going to lead the league in RBIs? My guess was Pete Alonso. And he's tied in fourth, or he's in fourth by himself. He's only 5 behind. Again, that's 1 game. So I think Pete Alonso has a legit chance, especially as Soto continues to rake. Pete has a legit chance here to end up pulling that off and leading the league. It'll come down to the wire if I had to guess, but I think it's entirely possible that Pete Alonso is our RBI leader. And then finally, I said 10-plus pitchers will throw 200-plus innings. And this was a bold one. I was like, there's no way. No one might get 200. But surprisingly, even though this is a no, there are 8 players. There's 8 pitchers currently on pace for 100 if they continue to do exactly the same rate they are. Though, for some reason, I don't have the list of those guys. But that was a surprise. I was like, there's going to be like 3. But there's 8, so it's not 10. But it is more than I thought. So who would have thought? Not me, obviously. And those are my bold predictions, and that's where we are. And if you were keeping track at home, not a lot of corrects. Was not right a lot. So just goes to show you, baseball predictions are a crapshoot, and you just shouldn't do them. You just shouldn't do them. Let me know in the comments why I'm the worst, I guess. All right, let's move on. We're going to do a little bit of going deep here in a moment, and we're going to talk about the trade deadline. Type 1 in the chat if you're super excited to talk about the trade deadline. Either chat, please just hit me with some ones. Let's go. When I come out of the intro, there better be ones freaking everywhere. We are looking forward. This is going deep. We're going to look forward to the MLB trade deadline. See what we got. Are there ones? So many ones. So many ones in at least YouTube listens. All right. We have 5 big questions here that people have been talking about in the zeitgeist. We're going to be talking about the insiders that have been tweeting about them or writing articles about them, and then what I think is possible or not possible, or maybe you didn't even hear these things either. So let's see. BS, real, what's going to happen? I'm sure there's a lot of exciting things that happen in the next few weeks, and we'll be talking a lot about it. So this is your first official primer. Now the All-Star game is over of the trade deadline. So first things first. Will the Minnesota Twins be a seller? That is our first question today, because there are some really interesting assets over there. According to Joel Sherman of the New York Post, the word within the game is that the Twins would love to move money. If you're executive talent, you can hold on to your coaching staff, that there are bright days in the nearer future, but there are some big economic things happening in your organization that is probably going to be partially addressed with the trade deadline. And unfortunately, that is the nature of our game. So I'm sorry. Moving money would obviously mean the guy being paid the most on the team, and that is Carlos Correa. He could possibly be part of that conversation. He would be the biggest movement of money. Byron Buxton said during our All-Star media availability that he would not waive his no-trade clause, wants to stay in Minnesota. Attaboy, Buck. But which other players could they move? So Buxton sounds like he's off the table. I think that is the best possible scenario for the Twins and Twins fans. We already talked about Carlos Correa with $91 million. That's what he's owed over the next 3 years, $91 million. So offloading that actually isn't as hard as it sounds, because that is fairly manageable. It's a 3-year deal as opposed to however long it was at the beginning. But then there are 3 other guys, all pitchers, that are extremely interesting and could be very, very valuable at a late season stretch run here and into the playoffs. And those are All-Star Joe Ryan, who was out there throwing 95 to 97 and blowing, forcing fastballs by guys in the All-Star game, very much on a mission. Then we have Yohan Duran, who we know throws a 98-mile-an-hour changeup, and has been the closer there for years at this point. And Griffin Jax, who is the setup man and has one of the best swing and miss arsenals in the game, and would be huge as a bullpen addition that could go on a little bit of a run. Now, the weird thing is, Ryan, Duran, and Jax all have 2 more years of control. So, like, they're controllable as well. So the haul for these guys could potentially be massive. Now, do I want, for the sake of Twins fans, to lose everybody? No. But I do think that you could lose one. And I would say a reliever is probably, like, if you lose Duran, then Jax is your closer, right? If you lose Jax, then you put anybody else in that setup role for him, right? So you can weather that a little more. They could get some value and still continue to be competitive. So I think bare minimum, that would be a good thing to do. It'd probably be good for the guy going as well, to be in it at the end as well. Correa, though, I think is going to be really hard to move. He's a premium position, and there's a reason that so many teams dropped out of that sweepstakes with him, is because of concerns with injuries. I know he's been better lately, but like a team's like 3 years is still a long commitment for a guy that we don't know if his foot's going to hurt for an entire year, and we're just going to lose out on $30 million of value. So it'd be interesting to see kind of what packages are thrown out there, but my guess is one of the 2 relievers are the most likely to go. Joe Ryan also. Starting pitching is just way more valuable than the relievers. It's just the way it is. And he's been so good, and he keeps getting better. And they got no Pablo, and they just don't know who their ace is going to be long term. So I think they got to hold on to Joe Ryan if they don't want this to be a full rebuild. Got to hold on to Ryan. But if he goes, they're going to get a lot for him, because starting pitcher is going to be at a premium at this deadline. So, but I think that the most likely guys to move, it's either Jax or Durant, probably. And he usually is relievers. Everyone needs them. All right. Question number 2, will the Yankees trade for a third baseman? They recently DFA'd DJ LeMahieu, and they moved Jazz Chisholm back to second, which says, hey, we be looking who's got a hot corner commodity for your boy. And I know that's Eugenio Suarez, who just makes so much. The fact that he hasn't been a Yankee yet is actually kind of mind-boggling. He fits in that model quite snugly for me, and he's having quite the good year. A couple other guys that were mentioned being connected to the Yankees in their third base opening are the Pirates' Brian Hayes, who obviously is a very controllable, team-friendly, terrible Bob Nutting contract. And Ryan McMahon is on the worst team, one of the worst teams ever. So, and it's having a little bit, he might be more attainable because of the nature of the team, and a little bit of a down year, though. So I think Suarez makes the most sense. I believe he's a free agent pretty soon as well. Fairly affordable. Hayes is a little bit more of a commitment, and I don't necessarily think he's the best fit. He's great defensively, so that's positive. But the way I don't know how his bat works in that lineup, so it'd be really interesting to see what they do. But if I were a betting man, I think that unanimously across the league, this guy looks like he's going. Probably going. We actually have a super chat, which I'm going to grab real quick because I want to make sure that I get these. I'm going to throw this up here. So the super chat was from Brian B. Do you think 2 more roster spots for a pitcher equals less injuries? Oh, okay. That's a very interesting question. I'm going to just answer it right here in the middle of the segment because I can do that because this is my show. You're asking, do I think that if you're able to put 2 more pitchers on your roster that the pitchers will get injured less often? For relievers, yes. Overall, I do believe that is true because that'll allow you to do 2 things. One, right now you have 8 men in your rotation or 8 men in your bullpen. If you have 9 men in your bullpen, that is a huge boost, especially if it's the guy who's able to throw 1+ innings. I can't tell you, a versatile arm out there, huge. And then if the other guy goes into the starting rotation, now you have a 6-man rotation. That'll save them as well. So I think 2 more pitchers on a team would be massive for pitcher health. Massive. We won't be talking about this down day stuff as much or this built-in rest. So very, very good question. I think that would be a huge bolster. The problem is that would take your roster to 28 total guys, and that means you're paying at least 2 more people. That's $1.5 million on your payroll automatically. And that's why every single team would say no, right? But that is a great point. All right, question number 3, moving on. It's been thrown out there by Dennis Lin of The Athletic reporting that the Padres remained enamored with Jarren Duran. I'll be honest. I'm pretty enamored with Jarren Duran as well. Look at that guy. Look at him. He's just a dude. And those the Bruce bolts he's wearing on his hands are pretty cool too. He's a hustle dude. I don't know. There's something like this look right here. Red Sox all way. But if you put a San Diego Padres, like if you threw the City Connects for the Padres on this guy, he would fit in perfectly again. I just think that those are the 2 teams he should be on. ESPN's Jeff Passan also reports the Padres are willing to go places most other organizations would never consider for Duran. This is quite the courting, I'll be honest. This is some superfan territory. So Jarren Duran, it sounds like if Craig Breslow and the powers that be over there in Boston are ready to play some ball, that the San Diego Padres are willing to give it up and make some moves. And as we know, Padres are not afraid to make some moves. So this feels really, I don't want to say likely, but if we hear anything publicly, I think, about the Boston Red Sox having any sort of inkling or any sort of willingness to field this conversation, I think it's likely, and that is exciting. I think he would be a great fit on that team. But I also think that the Boston Red Sox are probably not in a selling mood right now, considering they've won 10 straight games. So I'm going to wait and see. We'll see how this first week goes, but I have a feeling that the Boston Red Sox are going to be one of those bubble teams that makes their decision really late in the game. It's usually not a great idea, but it is also a better idea as an executive in a team to remain hopeful as long as possible. That is the situation you want to be in. You want to not have to sell. You want to buy, right? Being a buyer is a lot more fun than being a seller. So we'll see what happens, but that would be what I'm looking for. I'm looking for any sort of leaked comment from Breslow or any media that is close to the Boston Red Sox mentioning anything about this. If we hear a whisper, that means San Diego Padres have weaseled their way into someone's ear, and it's more likely to happen. All right? Number 4, let's talk about the first place Toronto Blue Jays. This is Ross Atkins, I believe the president of baseball ops. According to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, general managers believe Toronto could be aggressive as any team at the deadline, as I believe they should, because they have overperformed. I believe that it is all sunshine and daisies up there in Toronto in baseball. So they are He also reported they are looking for some very specific things. Nightingale also reports the Blue Jays are looking to a frontline starting pitcher and showed interest in the Diamondbacks' Zach Gallen. Even though he's had a down year, he has started to get a little bit better. Getting a frontline guy would be interesting. I don't know if Sandy Alcantara's in that conversation. He's another guy who is getting stronger as the year goes. But like, if Joe Ryan were available, and we know the Twins have a history of trading with the Blue Jays, with Jose Barrios going over there at a deadline, that would be crazy. I don't think they want to get rid of Joe Ryan, but outside of those guys, he would be top of that list, in my opinion. And then, they'll take any relievers with experience, though Fisher's thrown good, Little's thrown good in the back end there, and they have Jeff Hoffman that's thrown well since he's had some clunkers at the beginning. So just getting some continuity in the pitching staff and shoring that up is important to them. But the lineup's been pretty good. They've been a lot better. I got to give them props. Toronto is really doing it. They're taking advantage of their window and their moment. So let's see if Gallen. I think it's entirely possible they get Gallen. It's just what he then provides. I don't have a lot of faith in. It feels like there's something going on physically with Gallen a little bit where his effectiveness is diminished very quickly. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But I do think they are going to add at least. I'll say the Blue Jays add at least 2 guys. That is my prediction. And as we know from the prior segment, I'm very good at predictions. All right, last little question here. Is Adolis Garcia on the block? Hero of the World Series just a couple years ago, 2023. Several teams have inquired about Adolis Garcia ahead of the upcoming trade deadline, according to Francis Romero. Grover's team. John Heyman of the New York Post reports the Rangers, who are 3.5 games back of the third AL wildcard spot, are a very unlikely seller, which is a little bit surprising at this point. But Garcia is having another down year. Sorry, just getting a little bit more water. Slashing .234, .279, .404 with 13 home runs to the break. So not what we're used to expecting from Adolis Garcia, but could we have another Jorge Soler, Eddie Rosario situation over in the Braves, where they just go get a bunch of depth, guys who've been successful in the past and also good at the big moment. Like, we don't need him to hit 400. We just need him to hit a home run in the 8th inning when we need it, which is what Adolis Garcia does. He has that aura about him. So do I think Adolis moves? Not after hearing them say very unlikely to move anybody, but who knows what is a package they could put together for him. And again, he is getting pretty close to free agency himself. So do I think it's likely? No. Do I think it's possible? Yes, but I think the Rangers are going to, I think we're going to see a Rangers team that generally holds pat and maybe adds a peripheral little a parallel or a lateral trade, similarly to like what the Rays and the Mariners do with themselves all the time, where they just trade each other's version of the player because they play different positions or something. Like, it might be something like that, maybe even in a division, but I wouldn't expect a huge splash from the Rangers or Adolis Garcia. So they're not giving me a lot of hope, at least for exciting things happen. I think the big ones are going to be Blue Jays and seeing what the Twins do. I think those things are going to be the things I'm looking forward to the most. And that is looking forward. That is going deep. Let me know what you guys think. Other guys in the league that might be moving, might be staying put. Let me know down in the comments, because guess what? All of you combined watch a lot more baseball than I can physically do, and I just rely on you because you guys know ball, and it means a lot to me. All right. Thank you. Woo! Oh, it is warm in here, everybody. It is so warm in here. Okay, so I will put this out here because we're going to do an AMA at the end of this one after we throw up some. We got some fun stuff to report on. Today was a jam-packed show. I got to be honest. We had a lot going on today, but a couple cool things put together real quick. Then we're going to get into AMA. So ask your questions in the chat, and we got DK grabbing the most compelling, most exciting, most fun ones, and he can put them back on the screen later. So if you say it in chat and I don't see it right away, just know we will get to it in a segment in just a little bit. So appreciate that. Keep asking those questions. They will get answered. You just gotta stay with me. All right. Home Run Derby, we talked about it already in the top of the show, but I want to talk a little bit more about the Home Run Derby because a lot of crazy stuff happened this one that had never happened before, and the history of the Home Run Derby is pretty insane. So these are some of the craziest statistics. These are the craziest facts about the Home Run Derby, about the history of the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. Okay, so since 1985, which, again, Dave Parker won the first one. That's the first Home Run Derby. We've had 10 winners be on the home run leader for the season for the league, all right? So in those, what has it been, 40 years? That's 40 years. In 40 years, 10 of those winners have also led the league in home runs that year. We had Andre Dawson, Ryan Sandberg, Juan Gonzalez, Ken Griffey Jr. did it 3 times, Sammy Sosa, Ryan Howard, Aaron Judge, and Pete Alonso. Okay? 3 of them went on to win the MVP. That's Andre Dawson, Cal Ripken Jr., and Ryan Howard. And 2, Dawson and Howard, won the Home Run Derby, won the home run title, and won the MVP in the same year, which is pretty interesting. Now, why do we bring that stuff up? Because we're talking about Cal Raleigh, who is kind of in the running for all of these things, right? So, one interesting thing, no Home Run Derby winner has ever won the World Series MVP in the same year. Ken Griffey Jr. is the only Mariner to ever win the Home Run Derby, but he did it 3 times. And all 3 times, he led the AL in home runs. So Cal's odds are looking pretty good. And now that Cal is been the second Mariner, or the 4th time a Mariners won it, they now tie the Yankees for teams with the most Home Run Derby championships. Even though 3 of them were for one guy, still. So the Mariners and the Yankees are tied all time, and most players to win the Home Run Derby, which I thought was fascinating. Cal Raleigh was the first catcher ever, and also the first switch hitter ever, which is nuts. There's only been 1 DH and 1 third baseman all time, but the position with the most Home Run Derby winners is first base, obviously. It's 10. 10, and then corner outfielders are after that. Oh, no, sorry. First baseman were 12. I stand corrected. He's the only switch hitter, and he's also the only switch hitter to ever switch sides during the Home Run Derby. So he switched sides and won it. None of that's ever happened. And as we know, the record for most home runs in a round is also a Mariner. Cal's current teammate and blue-eyed beauty. I don't know why I said that. Julio Rodriguez. Hey, you just gotta, one blue-eyed guy to another blue-eyed guy, you gotta give him some props. I need to move on. Jazz Chisholm's 3 homers are the least in a derby and a round since 2014. But he looked good, and he had fun. So that's what it's all about, right, Jazz? Gotcha. Good. The first 5 derbies, not a single hit, even though he only hit 3 in the first 5, so from 85 to 89, no one hit more than 6. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. It's happened before. Onel Cruz hit a 513-foot home run, tied for the farthest home run in a derby hit it not in Coors Field. He's tied with Aaron Judge in Miami. There have been 3 further ones hit in general, all on Coors by Alonso, Story, and Soto. Soto's gone the furthest with 520 feet. Last 2 here. O'Neill also hit a ball 119, which is the hardest, or 4th hardest derby homer ever hit, behind Judge and Stanton. Surprise. And Matt Olson's derby loss, so Matt Olson competing and not winning, was the 15th time an Atlanta Brave has been in the Home Run Derby, and they have never won one. Sad. And it was at home. But in Matt Olson's defense, it was a little bit of a late scratch. So it's hard. A lot of the other guys, I know for a fact, the Big Dumper prepared heavily for that. So give him some love. But just some of the fun stats from the Home Run Derby. And Cal Raleigh has been making history left, right, and center all year. Why would it be any different than the Home Run Derby? I just didn't know so many of these things were real. Like that's pretty insane. And also the Mariners doing well in the Home Run Derby. Hey, at least they got something. Shout out to Henry in the writers' room for compiling all this stuff beforehand. Hilariously, I went in. I was like, hey, let's figure out all the fun stats about the Home Run Derby over history. He's like, I already did that just for fun. So that's when you know you hired the right people. So shout out to Caleb for putting that together and anticipating what I was thinking, because really, really great put together. Home Run Derby. A lot of fun. Could be shorter. Could they clean it up just a little bit? Sure. But what I really want to see, and stay with me here. I said this last year, and I'm about to get real crazy here. I want a pitching event. I want a skills pitching event that is based on throwing. Now, stay with me here. I'm going to do a little bit of a rant. We set up like a carnival style situation, which is a bunch of pedestals with different items and targets and different stuff on them, all different point totals. And then we do it in a format like darts, okay? So each guy has their baseballs. They can doctor the baseball any way they want, which I think would be awesome. And two guys go head to head, and they basically have to there's different game types where they have to get an exact score. So you have to hit targets, and they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So we're not throwing as hard as we can. We're not pitching here. We're just playing catch. So do I want to see Zach Gallen versus George Kirby, or Tarek Skubal versus George Kirby, to see who can like hit these targets and all this kind of stuff? I think it would be awesome. We can mic them both up. They'll talk shit. They'll probably get into it. Like, I know George Kirby, for example, is very, very confident in his ability to throw the ball where he wants to throw it, and he gets really mad when he doesn't do it. I think darts is electric, and I want to see that go to baseball. Throwing it out there. I think fans could cluster around it. Pitchers are used to kind of being out in the middle of a field on an island, so like having people like, it's just a different kind of pressure and a different kind of fun, and they're already playing catch. So like, this is something we do every day. We throw hundreds of times every day. It is the least likely to hurt you. It's just playing some catch. So instead of playing catch, they just warm up, then they go and they throw like 30 times or whatever, like maximum. There's not a ton. It's like the quarterbacks throwing footballs into hoops. I don't know. And then they can do charity stuff, and they can put like advertisers in there and different types of targets, and they can make up a new game or whatever. It'd be a lot of fun. I think pitchers would love to do it because we don't get anything. So let me know. Let me know what you think of this. I think this is a great idea. And if you don't think it's a great idea, then you're wrong. God. All right. You guys had a great question in the Discord recently, so I want to talk about that question real quick. So this is a question from Black and in the Discord. From your experience, did the clubhouse culture ever feel more like a men's club than just a professional workplace? I work at a ballpark, and while everyone is extremely professional and respectful, I've noticed that it's kind of a close-knit insider vibe. Yeah. It's a locker room. It's 25 plus people that are having a unique day in and day out experience with those people that everyone in their close vicinity is not having. Does that make sense? Like, the people that know what the feeling is to play, like, are limited. And there's a certain camaraderie that comes with that. And you're all kind of in it together. So you should be able to look around and be like, if anyone knows what I'm feeling when things are good or bad, it's the people in this room, and then things build out from there. So sure, is there some weird behavior that happens there? Yeah, you're with the same people all the time. They're you know, sometimes, this is a weird metaphor, so stick with me here. But there are some like close-knit groups where you're saying and doing things that you're like, this would be weird if anyone else heard it, if that makes sense. Not bad, just weird, unhinged, out of context, weird stuff that everyone there knows what you're talking about, but outside of it, like if someone peeked their head and be like, what are you guys talking about? It would be funny. And you notice those things, but any workplace has that. So it is very similar in that way. But there is an extra barrier added by playing the game itself. So hope that makes it clear. Sometimes it can be not a great thing, but I think most of the time it's an inherently positive thing, because you get lifelong friends, you get lifelong love for these guys, and that includes like the training staff, the chefs, the clubhouse staff, everybody, the cleaning people, like people you see all the time. you develop really good relationships with them because they see and get it a little bit more. So the clubhouse is its own little world inside of the bigger world that is the stadium. So you would be, that vibe you're getting, yeah, it's real. That's real. That's a great question. Good question. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. All right, we have the internet says, because there was a bunch of internet stuff. This is gonna be so fun. I do a segment every single show. And by the way, we might go a little bit long for the Q&A today. So just so you guys know, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna end right at 2. Maybe I'll go 10 minutes over because we went a little early today. I do a segment. I am very much on the internet. You're watching the show on YouTube. If you follow me on TikTok, Twitter, wherever, you know that I'm very plugged in. Also go sub to the Substack, same thing. We talk a lot about this stuff. So we have a segment called Internet Says, where we go find our favorite things that are out there in the internet that are baseball related. And boy, was there some good stuff this week. I'm very excited to share it with you. First up, recently ousted GM of the Washington Nationals, Mike Rizzo, posted this to Instagram. It was a big thank you for everybody. As in a way to say thank you, the fans, for 19 amazing years with the Washington Nationals, grab a round on Riz Monday, July 4th before the Home Run Derby at Penn's Quarter Sports Tavern. Super freaking cool. So basically, Mike Rizzo was like, hey, fans, come on out. I'll buy you a beer. And I think that is freaking awesome. First of all, police don't need to do it, right? You don't need to do it. It feels like, I don't know, he's giving me vibes like, I'm free. I'm finally free to be me. And I love that for him. And I love that for us. And I love that for everyone who got a beer. So if you got a beer, let me know. Send me a picture to maydayshow@gmail.com. That's real. Maydayshow@gmail.com. If you have a picture, please email it to us. I want to see that. He invited everyone to grab a beer. He said, become our home in every sense of the word since he first joined the Nationals as assistant manager in 2006. So this is the way he's getting back. So shout out to Mike Rizzo. That's just a cool guy thing to do. And also, you combine that with his comments on like, I had to deal with these owners for a long time, and I did a good job on his way out. That was a little telling as well. So also on the internet, which this came out because, of course it did, Livy Dunn tries to buy Babe Ruth's old New York apartment, but the apartment board says no. Oh. Controversy. This is Olivia Livy Dunn. If you are unaware or live under a rock, she's a former LSU star gymnast and the significant other currently of Paul Skeens, also went to LSU. I don't want to say currently. That was actually rude. Why did I say that? They're dating, possibly forever. She said she wanted to purchase a home in New York City, though it is interesting to note that he plays in Pittsburgh, and neither one of them from New York. But she tried to buy the $1.59 million apartment with cash, and the board, they were very confident. She even went so far as to. I got to the point where the realtor was so confident that Paul and I went and got an interior designer because I didn't want to bring all my college furniture to Babe Ruth's apartment. Valid. That would be like criminal. I don't know about criminal, but it would be not a great look. But they denied her, and pretty much people in the building voted not to have me there, which is fine. So basically, how this thing works is, housing like this in New York there's a lot going on there. If you guys want to read about this, trust me, there's been a lot of news about it. But it's a co-op, meaning it's kind of like HOA, but for a building. And so the building makes decisions collectively, and that it can be separated in all kinds of different ways. But that apartment is part of a co-op, and there's rent control, and there's a reason it costs the way it does, and whatever. These things aren't just thrown around willy-nilly. They're very close-knit communities. And so the community gets to vote on who they want to allow in, and they just didn't want an early 20s person who's made a lot of their money on influencing and being a media person, being a internet personality living there. Now, think what you want about that. There are certain things that come along with having influencers around. So I understand it. And honestly, they're probably all old. That's just a guess, but they're probably older. There's a very good chance that the group of people's older. So she was denied, but She doesn't know why she was rejected. I mean, I bet you should guess, but it's West 88th Street building, so the viral sensation. This was what one resident said, sorry. But one resident in the West 88th Street building said the viral sensation was simply too online for the board's taste, according to the New York Post. Yeah, they're like, we don't want an influencer. We don't want tripods set up in the hallways, which I don't think she would do that, but you know what I mean. Like, they're just like, they don't get it, they don't understand it, they don't want anything to do with it, and so they're like, nah. But that is their right. But I have one thing to say. Free Livy. Okay. Brent Rooker likes to tweet. I like to think that I've been one of his mentors in this side of things, but guess what? I'm going to say it right here. Brent Rooker's better than it at me. Rewinding. Brent Rooker is better than me at it. Oh my God, that's what I tried to say. He's better than me. It also helps that he's better than I was at baseball. Also, I was just some reliever, so no one cared as much. That also helps. He's a very good hitter. He's been one of the best hitters. So Brent Rooker, who also has a small child, his son is, I believe, a month older than mine. Sorry, his daughter. He has a daughter. Schwarber has a son. And he was feeding him, and someone goes, "Hey, Rooker, did you really need to feed your baby on the camera? Sometimes you just want to see you play." Also, Adamo, you're the reason that I don't go on Twitter very much. What's the point of that? He's not even, you didn't even pay the $8 for the check, so you didn't even get to be at the top of the replies, man. What are you doing? That's some loser behavior. But Brent, always with the clap back, and I can confirm, baby needs bottle. Baby needs bottle, even though my son would be like chomping on a ribeye at 9 because he's a monster. But that's neither here nor there. So this tweet was fired out, which is pretty great. And then Jeff Passan, who we've covered many times on the show, said, what is Brent Rooker, Jonathan Aranda, Randy Arozarena versus Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber, and Kyle Stowers. Now, those were the 3v3 for the swing off at the end of the All-Star game, right? But what he was insinuating was, wouldn't it be nice to have Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and all the big guys in this? Instead, we have Kyle Stowers, right? That's what he was saying. And Brent Rooker's like, what, am I not good enough for you, Jeff? And of course, Jeff Passan's one of the best Twitter users of all time, too. And Brent was just throwing that out there to get some good old-fashioned engagement. Mission accomplished. But if Brent went all the way through the home run derby, we wouldn't be able to get a lot of this stuff as well. So I love this. I love Brent. Brent's the best Twitter user, and if you don't follow Brent Rooker, you should, because he doesn't keep it close to vest. He's not sad. So the rest of that tweet actually here is what could have had been was Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. versus Shohei, Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber. That would have been sick. I agree. That would have been sick. But it didn't happen, and honestly, it was still electric either way. So with the Stowers and the other guys in there, now we got like underdogs, and like it would have been cool if Jonathan Aranda became like a hero and like put him back ahead. They're getting opportunities to become heroes that we're not expecting. That also is a lot of fun too. So, but Brent, thank you for all the love. Brent, thank you for being so good at Twitter. I appreciate that a lot. All right. Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, the big prospects for the Boston Red Sox, have been seen out and about in New England enjoying their break. We got TikToks. This is the world we live in now. This is the two gentlemen having spirited conversations with young ladies, which, honestly, shout out to them. They seem very engaged. That looked like they were having a lot of fun having conversations. Now, that is what it is. This is the world we live in. We get these conversations. We get these things popping up everywhere. Here's another one of some young ladies walking off a boat, and we can follow it with a couple players. Now, this is really common. I want everyone to know, before TikTok, when you're a young dude in your early 20s and you're single and you want to hang out with some girls or some people you met or whatever, this is just normal stuff that people do. So everyone does it. It's not weird. The funny thing is, though, we have one of the troll accounts hop right onto this. This is Taken Baseball. This is not Talking Baseball. This is not John Boy. This is a parody account. They said Roman Anthony was asked about his night out with Marcelo Meyer. Team chemistry is why we've won 10 straight. I'll just say this, boys are scoring on and off the field. Oh my God. The Beantown Bombers are cooking. Now, not real. That's not real. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. But it is funny. So, hey, do what you got to do, boys. Have a good time. Everyone smile. It seems like they're just taking a load off, enjoying the weather, and I can't blame them. It's nice here too. I want to go out on a boat. I'm just fat and old. The only difference would be me holding a baby. That would be the only difference. All right. Last thing. One of the better parts about the All-Star game that I like, now that I am a father too. So, full disclosure. All right, let's get serious here for a second. I got to be serious. I was looking at all the photos of all the families from the All-Star game, and I waited. I don't know if I've said this on the show, but I waited to have a kid till after I was done playing because I didn't think it was fair to put so much on my wife. And also, I wanted to be around for every moment when they were little, right? And I stand by that. And also never made an All-Star team. But these pictures of people with their families, they're sharing some cool moments from their own life, something they work really hard with their children, which I never got to do, which kind of made me a little bit sad. But also, really, I don't know. I've changed now that I'm a dad, and I'm just looking. I'm like, this is awesome. The fact they get to share all this stuff with their kids is super cool, and I love it. I love it so much. One of my favorite photos, though, was of the Schwarber family. Okay, so this is the Schwarbers. He's got his young sons here and a third child on the way. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy, but very cute picture. Kyle Schwarber is unanimously known as one of the nicest guys in the league. He's kind of goofy, a great fit. Love the blue on the blue on the blue. I love the little boys with the pants, with the shorts that match and the bow ties. It's just a good look. A very sweet little family, very, very, very precious. But now that I have a son, because he's got a child named Asher. He's the youngest. You see him right there. Asher is I believe, just over 1.5 years old. So he's just started walking recently, and he's got a little feisty. He's entering toddlerhood really quickly, and I am kind of getting close to this time as well. But in my opinion, Asher stole the show. You can see him a little bit here, but I need you to look. Asher Schwarber is the man. This guy is a legend. He wants you to know it. That face knows. And he wants you to know that he's coming. So, Asher Schwarber, let the people know. And if my son ever did that on a camera, I'd be like, you're the man. I'd fist bump him. That's freaking awesome. So, shout out to Asher. Keep on keeping on. Love that guy. Love that guy. He's awesome. He is awesome. And that is from the internet. So I hope you enjoy that. Our last little part here is, isn't that interesting? We do a little fun fact every week. And today's fun fact is also about the Home Run Derby. This is the All-Star game, sorry. This is also about the All-Star game. This is your crazy fact of the week. This right here is Mr. I'm struggling right now with it. This is your crazy fact of the week, All-Star Game edition. Meet Fred Lynn. Meet Fred Lynn. There's no D at the end. With many of the greatest baseball players of all time featured in the All-Star Game over its 86 years, somehow there has only been one grand slam ever hit in the game, and it was done by this gentleman, Fred Lynn of the Los Angeles Angels at the time. He hit the lone grand salami in the 1983 All-Star Game. We've only had one. It was 42 years ago. We have not had one since. How's it feel to be in the record books, Fred? Probably pretty good. Wouldn't know. So that is your crazy fact of the week. I hope you enjoyed it. Put that in your pocket. Go tell somebody just go tell somebody that day. Hey, did you know Fred Lynn, 1983? Only Grand Slam ever? You're welcome. You know us baseball fans, all we want to do is be able to tell everyone cool facts. All right, let's do it. That's not what I meant to do. Hold. Man, why did this not show up again? Okay, 1 second. One sec. Oh, whatever. Anyway, we're going back. All right, it's time to ask me anything. Guys, you ask your questions and I will answer your questions. What do we have? DK, start hitting me with them. I'm going to read the chat a little bit more. Fred Lynn is also a 9-time All-Star. Interesting. So we had a lot of opportunities. Trevor, do you see the players react to Mizraski's 98-mile-an-hour slider in the All-Star game? I actually did not see it, but I know what it was looking like. Probably the way that they reacted to Yohan Duran's splitter at 98. Like, what? Guys, I will say this. At some point, like, sliders can't be a slider at 98. There's not enough time for it to move. So it becomes a cutter. Like, no matter how it's spinning and what the intent is, it can't slot, like, it can't do the action. It's like, doesn't move, it cannot move enough. It's literally teleporting there. So I know it's semantics, but it's important to make that distinction. So that said, though, the fact that anyone can throw anything not directly behind the ball that's 98 miles an hour blows my mind. And that kid is like a human rubber band. So I just want him to stay. I just want to be able to keep watching it through the year. That's what I want. How well do you think Cade Anderson will translate into an MLB rotation? I think he's the most plug and play of everybody in the draft in the first round this year. So I think you could see him really quickly. The thing is, though, he's with an organization that doesn't necessarily have that spot to open up. But in terms of pitchability, arsenal, he actually doesn't throw as hard as I thought he did. He throws like 2 to 5, which is good for a lefty. But command is going to need to be his thing. And if he doesn't have it right away and relies really heavily on movement of his pitches, that's something he could struggle with. The thing that's interesting is guys who come up who are raw, who throw really hard, tend to get away with stuff right away more than guys like Cade Anderson do. But Cade Anderson has also shown his ability to adjust, and he has a feel for pitching that is probably at the top of the level. So could he blow through the league quickly? Yes. Do I think he's a top of the rotation type starter? I don't think he is a number one. At least in terms of stuff, right? He's a very good college pitcher, and it's very likely that he's a 2 or 3. Or, we could get, I don't know, maybe there's a Max Fried type comp in there a little bit. But I think that he translates quickly. So what it comes down to is when guys are drafted, you just determine, especially in the first round, the assumption is they're going to be good. It's just how quickly and what version of them you get when they get to big leagues. You move past are they going to be good enough once you decide to take someone in the first round? So I think that he's good enough to be a big leaguer, and probably quickly because he's the most polished. Where he fits into a rotation and how that manifests as a big league is the question. As a big leaguer is the question. So, but all signs point to good immediately, but his ceiling might not be as high as maybe guys who throw a little bit harder or more power guys that they might be able to throw a pitch that they don't even throw yet. Cade seems like he's really far along in that process. Trevor May, next MLB commish. You have my vote. Unfortunately, you don't get a vote. And unfortunately, I wouldn't touch that job with a 10-foot pole. No, that sounds terrible. I honestly don't want to be a GM because I don't want to take orders from an owner. Imagine taking orders from 30 owners. The worst. Joe Ryan to the Sox. I'm assuming you're saying Red Sox. Entirely possible, but big question marks here. Draw the question marks. Boop, boop, boop. One's backwards for some reason. Are the Twins the Red Sox? Are they both going to buy? Are they both going to hold pat? Right? Are they both gonna sell? So like one needs to be the buyer while the other one needs to commit to selling. And they're both kind of figuring that out. That's why that's interesting to me. That's why I don't think that's super likely, because when neither side knows which one they want to be, those things tend to go to the end. And if it goes to the end, there's probably other teams with more prospect capital that try to swoop them. That makes sense. So because they're both kind of like, I don't know, if both things are like, I don't know, it's very unlikely that happens. So, good question though. Okay, question in regards to your favorite topic, salary cap. It's the reason owners pushing for salary cap is, okay, put it up one more time. We're gonna try this again. Sorry. It didn't show up here for a second. It was delayed. Okay. Question in regards to your favorite topic on the salary cap. Is the reason owners are pushing for a salary cap is because some owners aren't getting all the CBD tax money because of deferred money? That's one of the small reasons. Yeah. But I just want you to know, deferments are not like the idea that all the deferments are teams dodging the luxury tax is just not really true. There's a couple, yes, to an extent with the Dodgers. Honestly, the only reason any of this is happening is because of Ohtani. Like Ohtani is I don't really care how much money I get up front, guys. I really don't care. But like I'm being told $700 million needs to happen because I'm Shohei Ohtani, but I don't really care. So this is the way to satisfy market and also get what I need, and it just happened to be deferred. That wasn't done. They weren't like, hey, we can't sign you unless you do this for the salary cap, because they're still over the luxury tax. They're still up there. I believe. Actually, I'm not certain if that's true, but that's the only reason we're talking about deferments, is because one team has so many. We weren't talking about it when the frickin' Nationals did it like crazy. They had $250 million at one point deferred, right? So it is, if we're talking about we want a salary cap because everyone's avoiding the luxury tax is a soft salary cap. So if they want to, if they're saying that, what they're saying is instead of a soft salary cap, we want a hard cap. Because we have a soft salary cap. We have what the NBA has. It's not as strict, so it's softer, but we do have one. It's the same thing. But we don't have the dumb thing that's baseball-related revenue thing attached to it. We don't have the revenue sharing attached to it with the players. That's why it's better than that situation, because you're locked into an amount of money. So but they will try to make that case, like that they can't compete because they're not getting the extra revenue from the luxury tax because of deferments. But salary cap doesn't solve that because luxury tax is a cap. So they're just gonna dodge it a different way. This is teams doing team stuff. Players have nothing to do with this. Teams trying to avoid the luxury tax is not do this you guys are all in the room. Do this amongst yourselves, man. Figure this out. The Dodgers deferring money and not giving the Pirates their due because of this luxury tax has nothing to do with players. That's between the Dodgers and the Pirates. So like you guys have the control to change this. So that falls on deaf ears for me. It's just not, and it's also not as common as they're gonna make it out. But you're gonna hear the word deferment about 10,000 times in the next 2 years. So sorry. So Trevor, you got any video from the Reading Fields night? And how was it? It was great. I actually do have it. I'm gonna be releasing like a little short video about it. And there's some merch coming with it too, because it's slow. We're having a little bit of fun here. It was good. It was a great time. It was crazy, honestly. To be honest, at no point was like, I deserve this. Like I belong. I felt like I was an imposter. I really did. Because I was sitting next to Dusty Waffen, who is now the third base coach for the Phillies. He was the manager there for 5 years. And like a lot of the people were like really close with his family. Like I was like, Dusty completely deserves to be in here. And then Darren Ruff hit 20 home runs in August that year. That's a record in baseball. He's tied with Sammy Sosa for the most home runs hit at any level ever in 1 month. Like he did something incredible. And I was just there. I just led the league in strikeouts. Like I'm so honored. It was awesome. But there was a part of me that's like, Like I didn't prepare a speech. I didn't really know what to say. I forgot to thank Kate. Like I messed it up. I went first too. So, but yeah, I just felt like I was like, these guys deserve it. I thank you. I don't know. It was weird. Maybe this is a me thing. Maybe I just really struggled to accept it. But I do appreciate it a lot, and it's one of the coolest things that ever happened. So, AA Hall of Famer. My bad. I feel bad for DJ LeMahieu. Didn't do anything wrong. Stanton came back. Sucks. Yeah, it's called a roster crunch. Especially, there's a lot of benefits of being an older dude, veteran, because they're very limited in how they can kind of jerk you around and change things up and not pay you or whatever. But once a roster crunch comes down, the older you get, and if you're not super productive, like the amount of production you have to maintain in order to maintain your spot gets higher and higher and higher the older you get. And with DJ, it's like, they were just like, no matter what happened, you were on the way out because you're old. And that sucks. I wanted to avoid that. That's why I retired early. So I do feel bad for him. And he's a consummate pro. He's a 2-time freaking batting title. Like he knows what he's doing his thing. But like for him to have to go to Scranton or something sucks. Could DeGrom be on the move? I don't think the Rangers are going to do anything. I think the Rangers are going to hold on what they have. DeGrom also is still expensive for a couple more years. He's in the 3rd year of his contract. So remember that as well. People have to pay him beyond this, and I think DeGrom has a lot of value, but I just don't think he's going to be moved. I don't think anyone's going to want to take a big flyer on him. And I don't think that the Rangers feel like they're really out. They're only 3 games out of the wild card. It's going to be, I don't know, 12. It's weird. We added 12 teams to the playoffs. It makes the playoffs more fun, but it also makes the trade line kind of boring because everyone's on the bubble. So, do you have a collection of baseball and/or bats? I would love a video of what you have. I have a good amount of baseballs. It's so funny. I actually found a save ball in one of my bins for throwing, which is probably not great. I don't have a ton, but I have my 500 strikeout ball. I've not been good at celebrating or having milestone stuff in my life. For some reason, I haven't. The only bats I have are from the ones they gave me for going to the Futures game. So that Futures game's bat. I wasn't a huge memorability guy. I have a couple jerseys. I have all my jerseys, some photos and stuff, but it's minimum. So, but I have like all my save balls, which is cool, 30 of them. Pretty cool. I would love to see a home run derby with only pitchers. We do that every year. They don't probably do it as much anymore, but they used to do that every year, like around the break where pitchers BP would happen, and then we'd do a little home run derby. But they didn't want anyone blowing out, and the problem was everyone was like popping obliques and swinging too hard. Because we're competitive. That's what we do. All right, a few more guys. Let's get a few more in here. Your boys got to go and got some stuff to do today. Do you think there's any validity to the home run derby messes up a player's swing theory? Probably, yeah. I think there's certain guys that their swing gets affected more about what they're trying to do, their intent. And if it's very obvious you're trying to hit home runs, that could get you into some patterns that once you swing 50 to 100 times could mess you up for a little bit. And then not only that, you're doing that, and then you're just going and taking a couple days off, and not like resetting it. So yeah, I think that could happen. Do I think it's like a huge part of it? No. But it's completely plausible that it makes sense. Makes sense that it could happen. As a pitcher who went through the Twins and the Mets organizations, was the so-called ghost of Johan Santana present in the organizations, and what kind of lore or legend did he maintain? What made him and his changeup so good? His arm speed was crazy. He just had one of those changeups that it looked so much like his fastball and ran a lot. I've heard a lot of stuff about him, things that, it's not super, like there's nothing like crazy or weird. He's just a high-strung guy. He got really nervous. That I've heard. He's just like, he's a talker, so he was like a nervous talker. So like when he's getting ready, he'd be like, really, and everyone's different. Some guys go silent. Some guys like start picking at their nails. Some guys can't stop talking. Some guys can't sit down. He's more on the can't sit down guy. But he's a great dude, and he knew how to pitch, and he just threw with heart, and he went and down and threw his changeup. So But his changeup was so good because he naturally was a pronator, meaning he was able to do like what seam shifting's doing, like with what Scooble's doing with his changeup. He was able to do it naturally by turning it over, which is how we all learn to do it. But it turns out like only like 30% of pitchers actually are able to do that well. So that was just natural to him. It's one of those things you just watch him, he rolls out of bed and he can throw that pitch. So that's it. All right, a couple more. Let's do a couple more here. What do you think my Padres do at the deadline? They really want Jarren Duran. It's gonna be interesting if they're not really a side shuffle type team. So I could see. I don't think they'll move Cease. I saw that in the chat earlier. I think they would be more of a buyer than a seller. Right now, I believe they're 6th place for they're the last wild card spot. I could see them adding a couple pieces, but their bullpen's good. I think they will hold pat. I think they would go get Duran and not give anything up. What do you think about Jerry Dipoto? I think that he thinks that he's pretty cool. I'm not the biggest fan. I think there's a level of like, sometimes when he talks, he says like, you guys just don't get it. He has that tone. And it's a bit frustrating. I have heard anecdotally from a few sources that he's not the most accessible person on the planet, which like as a player, that was I had a big issue with a person that is one level above me, like my direct boss, never like communicating with me directly or not making himself available for me. That I was very fortunate that Mets, every team I ever played for had a very accessible GM. So I have not heard that as one of his strengths. I heard that he kind of avoids that on purpose. And then he says things like 54%, guys, it's plenty. And it's just like, I'm not a biggest fan. And I got the vibe that a lot of those same players, people that had played for him, all felt the same. Like, take it or leave it. Like, there was no one who was like, "Hey, leave Jerry alone." Like, there was no one who was like jumping up to defend him. That makes sense. Do you think that Scooble being mic'd up impacted his outing? How would you have felt being live interviewed on the mound like that? Look what I do for a living. I would have loved it. I would have loved it because it would have taken all the pressure off me. But yeah, did it affect him? Maybe. There's certain guys who need to be locked in and can't be distracted. If I'm out there, I'm talking to myself. So like I would just talk to somebody else. It would be the being able to hear them. I wouldn't mind being mic'd up, but I think having a conversation would be interesting. Would be interesting. So, but I love it. As a viewer, I love it. And it looks like Scooble really enjoyed it as well. All right, last two. Let's do two more. It's so hot. Do you think the Mets move one of their young infielders for bullpen help, and how protective of their upcoming pitchers should they be in trades? I think their starting pitching, young pitching, they need to hold on to because there's some gaps, some big gaps opening up quickly, and they don't have their true ace yet. I think one of those guys could be it. In terms of their young infielders, they do have a little bit of like the Vientos, again, we're talking about Vientos, Mauricio, and Beatty again, right? One of them could be value for a team. It's big league ready talent in a package. For a reliever, though, I don't know, man. They might not need to use big league talent for a reliever. They could use low-level guys for relievers. I don't see them moving anything crazy for a reliever unless it's like Class A or something, who's also controllable, who they have for a couple more years. Like, that's the only time that would happen. So, but I would say just relievers just don't call for that much to get in the trade deadline. All right, last one. Can you beat Kyle Gibson in a race? Right now? No. Actually, I have no idea. Probably not. I'm slow, dude. I'm really slow. And he's taller than me. Maybe? I don't know. We're both so slow. Who knows? It's so funny. I think we look at each other and be like, no, you beat me. He'd be like, no, you beat me. I'd be like, no, you beat me. He'd be like, nah. Nah, you beat me. So I have no idea. That's a good question. No, you know what? Yeah. That guy sucks. Way slower than me. Way slower than me. All right, guys. Super hot. Hey, anyone know if I didn't get to your question, I'm sorry. I tried. It's just so hot in here. I have to get out of here. My voice is going, and I'm still kind of sick and exhausted. So I love you guys. I hope you're all doing great. I want to make sure that I hit this real quick. I just want to do a quick thank you for David Korn, Henry Neiman, Caleb Bartholomew over here in the writer's room. We got Feeman and Maddie Messina on the edits, and my manager, Emily Jude. Thank you guys for helping me get this show out every single week, inside and outside. I do appreciate that a lot. I gotta go get my hair cut because I am going to do Sunday Night Baseball. Once again, this weekend, Sunday Night Baseball, ESPN2. I believe it is Texas versus Detroit. Hopefully we get Tarek Skubal once again. ESPN2 broadcast, we talk about statistics. It's a lot of what I do here, but over there. It mean a lot to me if you go check that out and watch the ESPN2 version, the show ESPN, that you like me more than whoever's on the first one. What I'm trying to say is Trevor May, open bracket, Carl Ravitch, right? We can all agree on that. No, I'm just kidding. Carl Ravitch is a consummate pro, and he's amazing. So I love that guy. All right. You guys all have a good one. Drink your water. Stay hydrated. I know it's hot out there. Baseball will be right back. Just a couple more, one more day. Is it one more day? 2 more days, and we're back with some baseball. I'm really excited for the second half. Next week, we will be back on Tuesday for the show. The show is at Tuesday at our normal time, 1 p.m. Pacific time to 3 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be talking about trade deadline for the next 2 weeks. It's going to get crazy. I'm going to have to read a bunch of articles. You guys are going to make me do research. I'm going to have to learn about prospects. But it's the name of the job. And I'd do anything for you guys. All right? All right. We're going to get out of here. Thank you guys all for the subs. This is Mayday, a show about the show. Drink your water, watch your baseball, enjoy yourself. And I will see you next time on Mayday. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out where my credits are, and I can't remember where they are. That's not it. Where's the button? Oh my God, it's been a minute. Ah, dude, this is crazy. Dude, is it not here? I found it. All right. Thank you guys all for subbing. Whatever. Bye. Stupid.